everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, but we're not in Geraldine, Alabama today. We are at an awesome place, Loretta Rogers' house, and she is the president of Cove Crafters.
I am.
And so I'm so glad that you're friends with me. I will tell you, we have so many similarities. It's unreal. It's like the more you talk, the more I'm going, she's going to think I'm just saying that because we have so many things that we have in common. But thank you so much for being such a dear friend.
I just love it.
I do too. I love this girl. She's so awesome. But I'm going to tell you, I've never seen anybody with so much drive and ambition as you have.
I just wish I had more energy.
Yeah, she does. This is the Energizer Bunny. She's just like, and but our husbands get tired just watching us.
Yeah, they do. This is true.
So Phil goes, I'm tired, and I'll say, what have you got to be? He's just watching you. But you do so many, and I love crafts. And crafts let you open up your mind, and I think it keeps you young because you're just, you got your mind going. I have an aunt, I told you about Aunt Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was 100 years old last year. She's about to celebrate her 101st year on Earth.
I believe that.
And complete mind. Remembers everything, and not just like back in the day. She remembers stuff like I may forget what I had for breakfast this morning. Well, she'll tell you in complete details what she had for breakfast this morning. But she says it's because she keeps her mind going, and she does crossword puzzles. She still makes lye soap. She just does all this really awesome stuff, and so do you. And so you do lots of different crafts because some of the things we do with Cove Crafters, and let's talk about that for a few minutes, and then let's dive in there. And so Cove Crafters is, I'm a volunteer, you're a volunteer,
yes.
And we have met so many great people and so many friends because of Cove Crafters. Now, what's Cove Crafters about?
Well, Cove Crafters is actually not a new concept to Shepherd's Cove Hospice, because there was a time, or so I've been told, that a few people would get together and make a craft, but they weren't like consistent. So it wouldn't be 100 coasters or 100 notepads or whatever it was. It was just one or two things. And from the ones I saw, unfortunately, they used a lot of Oriental trading BBS stuff. I couldn't handle it. So when I heard about just what what Shepherd's Cove Hospice was about, and when we moved here, I wanted to be a little bit more active in the community. Little did I know how much I would be active in the community. So I started making the patient gifts, and I'd bring them to hospice, and then I finally got a hold of Miss Karen Denton, who is the person you need to contact if you want to do any volunteering there at Shepherd's Cove Hospice.
And you just made an awesome point, and we've been talking about this because Albertville is growing like crazy.
It is.
And if you're new in town, spouse has just come in, a new job, and you're from another area, this is the best way to meet people.
It is.
You'll meet the cream of the crop.
And I promise you're going to have fun. It doesn't matter if you have never crafted. I often tell the joke that he'll go, I can't craft, I'm not crafting. I'll go, can you turn on a light switch? And they'll go, of course. I went, you qualify. Sit down, let me give you something to do. Can you use a stapler? Well, yes. Well, I'm going to send you over there with Mr. Mike to help with the packaging. There is something for everyone to do. And sometimes, when you first start with us, you may be a little bit nervous or you don't really know what to do. But that is the one part I have to admit that I am super proud of, is just the fact that now we do a video. And it saves me so much time, not just
when you can keep my attention.
Well, that too, but not just you, I assure you. But since we started doing that, I've noticed that the quality of what's coming back is even better than.
Well, it's because you've got it looped, and then if I'm busy talking to somebody, then I can go, well, I didn't catch that part. Then I just look at the video you do, which is very professional, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And I just look at the video, and then I'll go ahead and watch it again and just get ideas on how to do craft.
Yeah, I like to start the video actually right when everyone's sitting down to eat, because they're going to be quiet while they're eating.
Oh,
There's a plan there.
It's the one time.
It's just about, but the group itself is a big, huge.
And Santa Fe
variety.
Cattle Company, by the way, you just missed the,
Did
you
I
saw the
miss it?
video
Oh,
right
man.
there. And
Yeah.
they provide food.
They do. We are actually fed. They provide a really nice meal. One of our staffers goes and picks it up, but it's a nice meal. And so we have a lot of folks who are just getting off work. They've
No excuse not to
there's
help.
no excuse, and so it's free. It doesn't. All of it's free. You don't have to pay for any supplies. You don't have to pay for the food. You just come and use your talents. You might be cutting paper that night. I may have you helping with the packaging. There may be something that didn't quite get finished as far as prep. I have been known to hand somebody a little package and go, you have 10 minutes. But there is never anything that's real difficult, but it's got to be done. I pride myself on the fact that these projects look finished. They look a step above just your average run-of-the-mill, well, you know, I made it in Sunday school kind of thing. And I'm not trying to, like, be ugly or...
Well, when you give something, you want it to be the best.
Absolutely the best. And we're actually going to implement something a little new that we have not done before. The project we're doing for August is new. I showed that on your last video. But from now on, there's going to be a little tag, a return address label, and I'm going to have everybody sign their name, and they're going to put it on the back of the project. So not only is it going to have the sticker from Shepherd's Cove Hospice, it's going to have the name of the person who made that project.
Who made it? I think that's pretty cool.
And I think it's going to also help instill that sense of pride. Because people, you don't always see it when you're working on it. But then when it's done and it's packaged and you're going, oh, wow, that is really nice. It's really something that you can use, or it's something that somebody's just going to enjoy having. And that's, I think that's my favorite part.
And it's just a sense of pride too. And I wanted to mention this about Cove Crafters, and then I want to get into her head and see what she does here. So if you are a Martha Stewart type, okay, and you can just make anything, you're not going to be bored. You're going to find all kinds of great things out of this. Plus, it's a sense of community. It's a sense of helping someone. And then if you've never done anything in crafting before, you're not going to be bored, and you're going to learn so many great things, so many techniques. I've learned a lot from you.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, there's just, I try to make sure, I learned a couple of things really early on, especially those first few months, and how we survived them. That was the Lord's doing, but we did. The number one thing I learned is how much really needs to be done beforehand.
A lot of prep work.
We're talking 60 to 80 hours a month in prep. This one that we're about to do was more like 80. It was a lot of cutting. So I used 6, you know, when you go to the craft store and you see those paper packs that have like, you know, 120 pages, I used 6 of those in this project.
Oh wow, we're going to be busy.
We're going to be busy.
And you were busy prior with the
And
prep.
it's already cut, so all we have to do is glue stuff, put stuff together, bind the books, and it really isn't hard. But, you know, it's that end product that I always try to keep my mind on, and one of my favorite things, it's like I shared with one of our last videos, is I'll make the prototype. I'll have something in my head that I just can't get out, so we'll make that prototype, and I'll go, okay, Mike, it's just prototype, you know. No, you know, he's very kind, but he's
we have some very supportive husbands, by the
we
way.
do. It's just, and it's fun because he'll go, you know, I really like this, you know, and it just needs to be moved up, or you know, do you like this color? It's like, well, no, I don't. I don't think I need to. So,
they'll tell us.
they will. And it's a really good time. But right now, I am proud to say that we have 4 men who are attending. I'd like to see a lot more of you gentlemen come out and support your wives, or just come out yourself. There's absolutely, we are not a complete hen house. So,
no, we're too busy making stuff.
we are too busy making stuff. And the other nice thing about the video is, while it's playing, if people are getting stuck a little bit, I am going to be walking around and stopping and making sure that your project, you know, if you have a question, something's not folding right, then I can sit there and show you how to do it. And sometimes I have to show you 4 or 5 times, and that's fine.
She
I
got to
don't
move. She
much.
said that. That is so true, because I'm left-handed, and it's like, you know, I'm looking at the video a different way than everybody else is. I'm the problem child.
She is not. But what she doesn't know is that when she leaves here this afternoon, I'm going to send her home with some stuff to help with. It's really easy. It's just a sponge and some ink. It won't take that long. But we,
But I've never done paper crafts before. I mean, I've done everything else. I've done jewelry. I've done wind chimes and all that
you
stuff.
can make jewelry out of paper crafts.
How?
It's easy peasy. Well, you just, if you,
Use resin, maybe?
well, you could use resin, but what I like to do is, you can buy sheets of mylar that they're not like blue mylar. They're they're not real thick either, but they're kind of flexible and they come in different colors, and you can die cut those and just put a little jump ring and maybe an earring hoop or something in. And
See, I got a Cricut machine, so.
do you have which one? A maker? Or do you have an Explorer Air?
Explorer Air.
Okay. Well, I will have to show you some little tricks and tips for that.
I knew I was going to get her to show me some more stuff.
I have to admit this. I am so sorry, Cricut, but for years I hated it. I hated the machines.
So
I
what
have
are you using
one.
other than Cricut?
I have a Brother Scan and Cut, and the Brother Scan and Cut does what it's supposed to. So if I were to stamp an image for a card, and I'm not going to just stamp one, I'm going to stamp as many as I can get on 12 by 12 now, but I can send it through that machine and it reads them. And so then I'm going to say, okay, machine, cut these images out for me. And it's quicker than trying to put a die on there and then run it through the machine and it shifts or whatever. It's not going to shift. It's going to be perfect. Then I can sit and stamp a whole bunch of stuff at once and then have it ready for making cards or whatever it is that I need to do. So,
Do you make signs and things too? Because, you know, signs are hot right now.
I have not made many. Yeah,
I have some old barnwood. I'd like to do something with.
Be easy to do. I would use probably removable vinyl, you know, something that's not permanent until you kind of get it down.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
The only thing I've done in vinyl, as far as like permanent, is there's a sign on a garage door that says all deliveries to the front door, no exceptions, no signature required. Now that piece of paper that sign is on is bright pink as my shirt, and now it's white, it's faded, but the letters are perfect. That you can still see them just fine, and people actually put stuff on the porch now.
I don't think I ever sent you this picture, but we have chickens now, and had hens April, May, and June are the names. And so I got my Cricut machine out, and I put the girls in quotes, and then I put April, May, and June under it. And Phil found me some old barnwood, and I put it on there. And then what I did is actually kept the color because I put resin on it. The tip
just
part,
to seal it.
yeah, just to seal it. And so that's really kept and I'm so proud of that sign.
I know. I was
The girls.
Why would I?
You got to
have
come to the
guess?
farm.
Yes, I do.
Yes, she really does. I keep coming here because I'm, you know, you got to come to the farm.
I do. I would love to come to the farm.
Now, my workshop doesn't look near as organized as yours does.
Oh, well, it's not.
And that's another. Let's before I know we want to do some stuff here, but how do you stay organized? I mean, how do you do it?
Well, I've spent the last 5 days cleaning that mess up. Since I'm just coming off of prepping for Cove Crafters, that creates a lot of trash.
Oh, I would say.
A lot of paper trash, and I don't save scraps anymore. I would.
Look, could you use it in the garden? Or is it because it's a color you wouldn't be able to?
No, it's just, by the time I'm done with this project, frankly, I'm ready to be done. It's just, you know, I've seen that paper for last month, and so, Donna, you have to, apparently you were at the thrift store.
This is so funny.
This is so funny.
Because I'm all serious. I'm all excited. So we try to find stuff.
We
like
do.
when we're out and
We'll call each
about.
other.
She'll call me and say, "Hey, I see so and so. You want me to get it?" You know, and I'm going, "Oh yeah." And so I'm just so excited. I see all this paper and it's all over the place, and I'm going, "Look, Loretta would love this." And then so I looked down and I went, "Wait a minute, she donated it." Never mind.
there was actually
And thank you for donating, by the way, which is another story.
we actually I had ordered my very favorite scrapbook paper, and
Well, there was a lot
When
of
they
it, so if it's still there, you need to go, okay?
when they mailed it, it was not what I ordered. This is what I should have sent me. So he said, okay, you can keep it, and I'm only going to charge you just basically the cost of printing the paper.
Yeah.
And so I did get what I wanted. But after 3 years now, maybe 4, I could not stand that paper another day. It had to go.
So you had to let it go.
I had to let it
And
go.
now, how do you let it go? Because I'm one of those, I'm always thinking, well, I'm going to keep it because I can use it for something later on.
But see, I get rid of it and I think, what new can I buy?
Hmm.
But something, if I'm going to bring something in, something has to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And here lately, I have been really diligent about either selling or, you know, contributing to the thrift shop some of the things
Mhm.
that supplies that I don't need any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that does 2 things. Obviously, it's going to get some, you know, room back in my space, and it's also going to bless somebody else. So maybe someone's going to really love that.
Because I saw a couple boxes. Well, there may have
there
been
were
more.
there were 3 to begin with, and then a partial one that was just you know, what was left of the box. But there were 6 of them.
Yeah, but I bet I really looked funny in that video. I'm pretty sure I
I
did.
have to go back and see it. I got to see it. That is just
Oh.
oops. But I've done it too. I can't remember. It was about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was looking at their little craft stuff and their material and stuff, and I kept looking at this one thing. I'm like, gosh, that is so cute. It took me about 5 minutes to realize it was something I donated. I mean, really,
We'll just go next.
We'll just go next. Yeah, we really did it. So but it's funny. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be you know, china, or it can be blankets and things like that you would normally donate, and then all of a sudden you're like at the thrift store and it's going, oh man, oh no, that's the one I donated.
Oh, I want to ask you, and you just mentioned about donating stuff, but my grandmother, I have my grandmother's, one of hers, she had lots of china, but I had this one that was my favorite one, and so I inherited that. And it's just beautiful. It's got little flowers and stuff all over it. We were never able to eat out of it. It was, you know, so she was afraid we'd break it and stuff like that. And so there was a bunch of people over at our house one day, and Mother happened to be there, and Mother said, "You're using Mother's china." And I said, "I'm using it because I could never use this when I was a little kid. She was afraid I was going to break it." But I said that to say this. I saw some china and I went on ahead and bought it. It was like $10 for an 8-piece setting and all kinds of stuff that I didn't even have. And so I've added a picture and several other things to it. It's the exact same maker, the same everything. So I had this thought. I went on ahead and bought it even though I didn't need it. So I'm thinking about making stepping stones. How would I do that? Would I break them, or what do I do? Use concrete? What do I do?
You're going to have something that you can use as a mold. And my suggestion is a larger size, either a pie dish, you know, like an aluminum pie dish, or you know, even the larger square ones like you would use for roasting would work. You would need to line it with something like a plastic wrap, and then, you know, mix your concrete first, and you're going to let kind of however thick you want it. Obviously, you're going to let that sit for a little bit, but then you're going to break the china, and then you can put it in, and then once it's
what I'll do is I'll call Mother out there, and I'll have and she's going to freak. And then what I'll do is I'll go, "Look, Mother."
She's evil.
No, she'll know because I've already told her about the dishes. But this is what I would do, right? Would it just be odd pieces, or would I just break, say, you know, not so odd, and then try to just put them like kind of like a puzzle? You know,
you could do that. Most people just do kind of like a crazy quilt, where you just put the pieces in until you like it. And the nice thing about it is, while that concrete's still damp, you can move them. You know, it's not like
change your mind.
Yeah, you can put.
Because I'm known for that. I'll change my mind.
I mean, you can decide that on one edge of it that you're gonna have a little teacup or something that's just a little accent that's
Well,
going
would
to
you
look like
make
you
it
just
for a
said.
stepping stone so that people could actually step on it?
You could.
Or just for the how would you do
Either
that?
one. Well, if you're going to do something like that, I would actually use it like for a plant stand. Can't you see that? So you just make it just the same size as your plant stand, and then you could have a few teacups that are just wired together and then concreted so that they don't move. And I've seen all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, Pinterest gets me in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Goes, oh no, there's Pinterest again.
Oh yeah, I love
But
Pinterest.
that would be a very inexpensive thing to do. I just think you would
Especially
just. And
if
I
you-
love stepping stones.
And especially like with your doing the wind chimes, if you have little extra pieces here and there, you could always use a buffer of some kind. Make sure the edges were nice and smooth, and use a couple of those, and with your wind chimes as well. So like if you had extra beads from the wind chimes, you could use them in the concrete to make your stepping stones. And they would actually be really nice as stepping stones because
maybe
they would have that little texture in them, and they wouldn't be as prone to slippage. So I think it'd be a lot safer to do it that way.
Yeah. So and it's the china should hold up pretty well in that concrete. It shouldn't break.
No, once
I've
you,
never done it.
it's going to be just like if you tile a bathroom. I mean, once it's set in the
That's
concrete,
right.
you're just going to grout
Just
over
wipe
the
it
top
up
of it.
and
Well, you're
walk
going to
in the
grout on
toilet
it, and then yeah.
That's
you
true. That's true. We have ceramic, and thank you from my grandparents because we bought their old farmhouse. And do you remember that ceramic tiles and all that kind of stuff, like the baby blue and the pink?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Thank you, grandparents. They did not use that color. They used this really nice. It was kind of like almost a brown, a very light brown, and then the
Water room, yeah.
that was a darker brown. So it actually
Awesome.
looks awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. Now I love China.
Yeah,
This
I like
is-
your china. I just noticed that. Baby.
This is Franciscan Desert Rose, and I've actually been collecting it since the 80s.
Yeah, Phil's mother had some just like that.
I love my China, and I use it. We actually use it, so it's not. It doesn't just sit here.
Oh, I use my china. I definitely do. And I gave, because I got several sets of china. And so my daughter-in-law would come over and say, oh, I just love that china. And one time I really was going to give it to her. And I forgot. They left out and went to North Carolina. So the next time they came, I said, do you still want the china? She said, yes. I said, just get it now. And of course, we get all excited with them being over just to forget, you know. And I said, we're going to give it to you now. And she loves that china.
A couple of years ago, well, when Mike and I first got married, my boys were still really little. They were 6 and 12. And so he went to the PX and bought these really fun Christmas plates with Santa and snowmen and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, every year, as soon as December 1st, those boys were like, you taking out that china yet? So we'd use it a whole Christmas season. So when we moved here, of course, boys are grown and mostly gone. And so
sometimes they fly back into the nest, you know, and you have to kick them out again.
Well, yeah. So I got to talk to Mike. I said, you know what? I said, it's time to give this to somebody else. And so we gave it to a couple at our church who had a little girl and a little boy a couple of years ago. So, and they took pictures of the kids that first Christmas holding up the plate, which was awesome. But every year now, she's like, we've already gotten this, like, you know, December 1st, because they're like, you got to get that china. And it's just this wonderful little tradition that you're able to, it's not just about paying it forward, it's about making memories that you have, and now somebody else gets to make some memories that are really fun and happy, that they're going to remember forever. Oh, I remember Mom having that fun little weird china for Christmas, you know, and it's, I wouldn't have traded that memory for anything. I just wouldn't have. It's just awesome. So
we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. We're going to have to put some commercial breaks in here so we can pay for this, you know what I mean? So we'll be right back in just a few minutes, but we definitely appreciate y'all listening. And here we go. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
I'm too weak to make a kind.
back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, but we're in Albertville, Alabama today. And we're having a lot of fun. By the way, this music you were just listening to, this is by Exodus. Susan Brady wrote this song, and it's pretty awesome. So we play this on our station often. You can find us on our website, HTTPS. You got the www.icradio.media. That's icradio.media. You can find us on Google that way and just click on the website. If you would like to download the apps, you can do that. You know something, we're on television. We're on local television in North Alabama, and that's channel 182 on Charter Communications. You can also find us nationwide, worldwide actually, on television as well, and that's through Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So, and we're pretty sure there should be a hospice, something like this anywhere. But we think we got the best one here, though.
Oh, we do have the best one here. There's no doubt in my mind.
And we're talking about thrift stores, and there are all kinds of thrift stores all over the world, basically, where you can find all kinds of great deals. And so anyway, but you're going to teach us a few things about crafting.
I am going to share a few things, too. So, we have talked in the past, Donna, about journals. And so I brought one of my favorite ones. This is actually from last year. And as you can see, it is well loved. Now this cover of this book is actually a recycled book. I just took its guts out, and then I covered it with some fabric, and I didn't like the fabric, so I covered it with lace. I like lace. And so it's got some little corner protectors, so that when you're handling the book, it's not going to come apart. And this is going to be something I treasure.
Well, I'll tell you, I really love this because I like lace, but I also like metal. So, and it's just a good combination.
And so this book stars, I like to put a picture of myself and the date. So, you know, when I get even older, I can go, oh, I used to be so cute and young. Or not. So, but most of the pages, what I did was I used a small little handheld printer. Mine is from Polaroid. It's called a zip printer. There's other companies that have them that print the little 2x3 inch photos, and then I just put them in here. And so every single day in 2021, except for maybe 5, I have a journal entry, even if it was just well, I'm not going to journal today because I'm too tired.
That's putting something in the journal,
putting something in the journal. But even things like these projects that we've made for Cove Crafters, ideas, I will use the journal itself to write down, okay, well, you know, I really like this idea for this project, but I'm not sure I'm going to like this color, or is this going to be too difficult for people who maybe have never crafted before to do? And so it's a lot of fun. Now these are very easy to make. Toward the back of this one, it's hard to see it. This is actually handmade paper. I just went into our shredder bin, and you just add some water to the paper and use an immersion blender and pulverize it, and then once it's set for a while, I usually let mine sit overnight just to make sure it's really disintegrated in that water, and then you can pull it out. Now I have some old screens. Just used an old, actually I went to Dollar Tree and bought a little cheap, you know, frame, and then just stapled some window screen, and then you just push it in, pull it out, and that's pretty much it.
And you got some texture going there.
You do. Now, there is a little toy, of all things. It's a little paper making thing that you can buy at like Ollie's here in Albertville. It's $10. Buy it. It is so nice because you can put that, once you pull that pulp out, you can put it in that little machine, and when you run it through, it gets all the water out. So, and it helps to form that paper. So now you've got a piece of paper that you can like put out in the sun for it to dry. And with this heat, it would probably take 4 or 5 hours, but if it's not humid, it's going to be even less than that
Yeah.
if it's hot. And
Uh-huh.
you can do it in the oven. I don't recommend it because, you know, if you get distracted like we do.
Yeah. Because you and I tend to have 10 projects
Yeah,
going on at the same time.
You know, husbands really don't like it if they come in the house and go, "What's burning?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smoke alarm goes
yeah,
off.
the smoke alarm goes off. But I think that
Now, I saw little metal pieces and stuff
You
all
do.
through here. Couldn't you just use like maybe your grandmother's old jewelry or something?
you could use anything you
Buttons
want.
from an old sweater she used to
These
wear.
are not meant to be archival, which means that these pictures probably won't last 100 years. They may last a year. It doesn't matter. But the principle is there. The principle of doing something every day, even if it's as simple as a journal, it helps in a couple ways. The first thing it really helps with is to not just create a memory necessarily, but to create, maybe you've had some problems with depression or anxiety. We all have those things and those thoughts. Well, you can journal about them and you can write them down, and to me it's like writing the Lord a letter. And you write your letter and you just close it up and you let it go. And sometimes that's all
Sometimes
you
just
need.
writing it down.
Just write it down, just let it go. Give yourself permission. It's my thing. Give yourself that permission to really get in there and go, well, what can I do? This is just boring. It's not. When a year from now, which this one's
And
a
you
year
look
old,
back and see what you've accomplished and see what you've overcome.
you can
I think that's a
definitely.
great
You
idea.
can. And then I brought with me into our little room here. This is just a regular, ordinary scrapbook. So let me get like a page where we can start.
And by the way, you can find a bunch of these at Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop.
Yeah, these are, this is just a standard scrapbook. Now these are 12 by 12. You can do memory keeping, which is, it's more common name in any size journal. It doesn't have to necessarily be archival, but if you're doing like a family history or like with your genealogy, and you
I'm having a
found,
blast doing that.
if you find an old newspaper clipping or something, this is the perfect way because scrapbook paper is acid-free and lanolin-free, which just means that it's not going to eat your photos. Now the problem is if you've got really old photos, let's just say you did find a whole bunch of 1800, early 1900 photos, be really careful with them. My advice actually is if you are lucky enough to find them, take them somewhere and have them copied, because
Oh, that'd be the best thing.
yeah, the paper itself that they're printed on originally is real acidic, and they can literally eat themselves.
Yeah.
It's just the acid in the paper.
Yeah. But just get a nice copy.
Just get a
and
nice
use
copy.
that.
And there's so many places now you can even send them in and they digitize them so you can use them as many times. So if you got a family reunion, you can make a small little scrapbook for everybody there in a matter of just a few hours. It's not hard. There are some things that I think everyone should have, whether you paper craft or not. A lot of people coupon clip these days.
Oh yeah, I do that a lot. And a lot of people say that's not worth that. Well, if you see a quarter out on the ground, you're probably going to pick it up.
Oh yes.
Right.
Oh yes. Invest in a really good paper trimmer. This one is by Fiskars.
Oh, they have the best.
They do.
I
And
love
this one has swing out arms, so it goes all the way up to 12 inches this way. And the markings on it are real clear. You can see them. I think I have it upside down, but you get the idea. And so it's accurate. There's a little wire in there. Let's see if you can probably not see it, but there's a wire in there. And the reason that that wire is important is for two reasons. Number one, from the edge of this little plastic piece to where that wire is exactly 1/8 of an inch. So you can see where I'm going with that. If you want to like do a frame around a picture or something, you know.
You're not going to cut off too much of the picture.
Correct. Yeah, and it's got some really good, to me, I think they're safety features. You could, if you're trimming, there's this little finger hold, but the reason that this is important is you can hold it down with your fingers so your paper doesn't slip.
Oh yeah, that's.
And the blades are not, well, they are getting a little expensive now, but they're not that expensive to replace the blades in. I've had this one probably 15 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to,
Yeah,
unless...
I've got Fisker products from 20 years ago. I mean, they're
Now,
just...
what people don't know about Fiskars is they have a lifetime guarantee. Not kidding you, and they will honor it. And so, like, if the little arm were to break off, then I would take a picture of that. And there's a contact place right there on the Fiskars website, and they will send you a new one. No questions asked.
Wow.
You just click it right back in and go some more. The other thing I think everybody should have in their arsenal, so to speak, are scissors.
Good ones.
Really good ones. Now, I'm about to say something that every person, every woman already knows, but for you gentlemen out there who don't know, if you use my fabric scissors on paper, we're going to have some words.
Then we're going to use your razor to shave your face with on our legs.
We're going to shave our legs.
So watch it, husbands.
Yeah. Now, both of these are just for paper, and obviously big scissors are for bigger items, and little scissors are for littler, that really makes sense, for smaller items. And these are really easy. You can just use a little, like WD-40 if they get really bad.
I was going to ask, how do you keep them clean? Because, you know, dye and stuff like that, after a while, residue just gets on them.
I hand them off to somebody I love.
He handles it.
He does. And he'll sharpen them for me because he has a whetstone, I think is what it's called.
Yes.
So he has a
Those
whetstone.
are really good.
And they're just awesome. Now there are a couple of splurges I think people should have, and one of them is die cutting machine. I like the Sizzix products. So I like to sit down and die cut a whole bunch of different shapes and colors, and then I can use these as either a card blank, or I can use these for pictures. And as you can see, this is basically a little under, so it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, completely from side to side and up and down. And then I can use this. I can measure my picture, use my trimmer, whatever you want to do, and then that's it. You're just good to go. As far as adhesive, stuff that you stick it down with, you need to look on the package. There's plenty of tape runners and things of that nature at your local craft store, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, wherever. You do want to make sure that they are made for scrapbookers, because, you know, Scotch makes some really great tape, but even some of their double-sided tape that is on the roll is not acid-free. And a lot of times it's not strong enough for what you want to do, because if I tend to make cards that are a little on the thicker side. But so if you got to keep that in mind. But you can buy them fairly inexpensively. They're even online, Amazon, and that kind of stuff. So and you may want to just pick up like one or two, well, just pick up one of like 2 or 3 different kinds of runners until you find the one that you like. I have girlfriends who will only use repositionable adhesive. Well, if I tried to use repositionable adhesive on like my card fronts, then what's going to happen is they're just going to go apart. That would not be good.
So what about hot glue guns?
Hot glue guns are wonderful, but not for scrapbooking. They're mostly made for keeping things a little bit bigger together. Like with our next project that's coming up, it's going to be one of the few that we have that we're not going to have a single hot glue gun. It's like, not one. We don't need them. We just need glue and tape and patience.
Yeah. Oh no. She looked at me when she said that too. Okay, so we're going to have patience.
Yeah, you have to have patience. Whether you're making cards or scrapbook pages or anything paper crafting, let's just say that you want to make cards, but you never made a card. My recommendation...
I've never made one, so what do I do?
Well, you're going to start by just using some ordinary copy paper. Because copy paper is cheap, so you can...
Oh yeah, you don't use all your really good stuff when you're just starting out.
So if you're just trying to learn how to read a ruler, some people have a really hard time reading the measurements. This particular guard is clear, as you can see. But if you do actually have problems reading it, you're just going to take a little piece of paper and trim it to size and put it right up underneath this. It doesn't matter what color it is, and then you're going to be able to see those measurements really easy. But you can just take some copy paper and you can practice cutting shapes or cutting things down to size, and then it's not as big of a deal. If something goes wrong, you're not going to have wasted anything. Where scrapbooking paper right now, the good stuff, like this, like these. Now this is cardstock, but this is heavyweight. It's actually 100-pound cardstock, 12 by 12. A year ago, I could probably source like the cardstock for about 75 cents or so a sheet, which is a really good price. Now it's not 75 cents, it's $2 or more.
Oh, yeah, like everything is that.
Hobby Lobby and Michaels and all, they have their own, brands of paper, and those go on sale frequently. But they're not, and they're fine for making cards or stuff. But if you're going to make something that needs to hold up the test of time, or something that needs to be structurally sound, then you're not going to want to use that. It's perfectly fine. Like the project we're going to be making, I've used like six packs of the 12 by 12 paper packs. They have like 80 or 120 pages in them. They're single-sided, but it doesn't matter. They're fine for that project, but they're not any really would not be good to try to build something like a box or a purse, or make a lot of paper purses. Are fun.
Paper purse?
Paper
How's
purse?
that going to hold up?
Oh, very well.
Yeah, have you seen my purse? You know what I like carrying mine?
Oh, dear.
That's a heavy duty.
She actually has wheels on it. No.
There is something I do have wheels on. And that's what I think you thought I was going to move in with you or something. So I came in with all my equipment, and I have it in a suitcase and wheels on it, of course. But
it's perfect. It's really perfect. So we are very frugal people. So
you and I are big time.
We are. I mean, I actually cringe when I look at prices at 7.
Oh, I do too now. I'm like, oh my
you
goodness.
are charging. I don't think so. I can make that myself for a lot less money, and I will figure it out. And that's where the copy paper comes in. Even if you're not actually making a finished box or project with it, you've learned where the fold should be. And if it's something you're having to do on your own to figure out, then once again, you haven't wasted that much money. You're literally probably pennies.
You know how you see trends come and go, like churches, for instance. Let's just talk about that, because there was the old hymnals that people used to sing in churches a long time ago, and I still like those. But churches are going to more, what do you call it?
I don't know.
Different
audio visual, and they have the projected up on the
so
screen.
you're not actually have a hymn book. I thought about a scrapbook that you could give maybe to your grandmother or something, or maybe even a young person, because when they see some of these songbooks, the young person, you got to think about this has been a couple generations that people have the screen, they don't have hymn books that you sit and hold. Wouldn't that be awesome to make something, a scrapbooking out of the old hymnal books?
You could.
Like the old red book, they say.
The same thing with Bibles. You could. Now, what I like to do is, if I have got my hands on an old Bible or an old hymnal, is I'll take an X-Acto knife and I will cut out the signature block, which is the main part, the big part of the book, and then I will take that and use an X-Acto knife to cut through that spine, but then I'll take it to my trimmer and then I'll trim it down and I'll make a card out of it.
What an idea.
Yeah, so you've got the scripture there, and even if you have, I belong to, it's called Chemo Angels, and it's chemoangels.com, I think, but we do have some of our chemo patients who don't want scripture. Guess what?
They're getting scripture.
They're getting scripture. They may never know it's there. It just looks like book text. But I made that card, and I prayed for you, and you're going to get that. But it's just it's not about hiding something from someone as much as use what you've got, or it's going to be gone. And the crunchier it is, the better. You have to be a little careful if it's really gotten old and crumbly. But yeah, most hymnals, they're printed on the same kind of paper that Bibles are, which is kind of a thin rice paper. But you talk about taking media. Oh, man, you can put anything on those and just. But yeah, and like the music paper in this, like this page. Oops, sorry. This page right here is actually like a student's book, you know, where they're learning to play piano. And that's where that music paper came from. And this one was actually printed in 1800, so it's really old.
You know, okay, I'm talking about the Shepherd's Cove thrift shop again, located on Highway 431 in Albertville, Alabama. They have all their books for 25 cents.
They do.
And so I've seen old books that have leather on the outside of them. And you're thinking, well, that's not really a book that I would want, you know. I'm more into how-to books, that kind of, how can I make myself better, because I need all the help I can get. But what could you do with an old book that had old leather on it, whether it's something you would use?
Oh, I would use it in a heartbeat. For one thing, even if there's printing on it and, you know, like the title or whatever is engraved in that book, there's a bunch of things you can do. Number one, you're going to get rid of that signature blocking, and you're just going to take an X-Acto knife and just take that right out. And then you're going to measure it. And then what I like to do is, once I've measured it, which would be this part of the spine, I cut a piece of just chipboard. And the chipboard can come from an old soda box. It can come whatever you got laying around. And it needs to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller overall from side to side and top to bottom. And then I just literally use a really good glue and glue that into place. And then that's my new spine. And then you can either hand sew signatures in, or you can use elastic and put the signatures back in that way. And then for the outside cover, you know, those old the little metal things like these little corners are the jewelry that we were talking about earlier. Maybe you've got some just some oddball keys or something like that. Then you can use those and you can attach them to that cover, and then all of a sudden nobody's ever going to know that that was, you know, some old book that you found that was rotting somewhere. Now it's a treasure. And you can do anything with them. A lot of men like to do woodworking, and they have those rosettes or the corner things made out of wood. Stain them, paint them. Yeah, there's plenty of mixed media channels that do just that. And now you've turned something that you would have just probably thrown away after you know, played with it or whatever. And now it's just something that you're going to treasure for a very long time. And that's what I love to do. Whether it's leather or just a regular book, you can do whatever you want. You just have to know what kind of, in this case, what kind of glue. I like the PVA glue.
Now I was going to ask, is there a glue you would not use?
I wouldn't use school glue or really thick tacky glue. They're really good, but and they'd be fine for cards or whatever. But when it comes to bookmaking, you want something that's got a little bit of flexibility to it, and that's where the PVA glue comes in. You can also buy book binding tape. It's not expensive, and I use that on the inside of that spine to reinforce it so that when I recover that inside, then it's not going to come apart. You know, you could probably take a chisel on some of the books I have, and you know, they're going to be fine. But you know, you need to be purposeful about what you do. And so whether it's bookmaking or card making or driving down the road, did I say that out loud? Whatever it is in your life, you need to be purposeful, because right now in the society in which we live, people are all about themselves, and the last thing we really should be is all about ourselves. We really should be the walking, talking example of what Christ's love is. And do we always do that? No. But, you know, the Lord looks upon the works of our hands and the meditations of our heart as pleasing unto Him. And that's what I strive for. I'm not going to always succeed, but that's my ultimate goal, is to be pleasing.
Sometimes just in the busy part of life, we just forget that.
We do, and you know, there was something said to me right after our last craft meeting by my precious sweet husband, and I didn't realize I was doing it. And he goes, you know, I really noticed that you stop, and not only are you helping people, but you encourage them. And I thought, what a wonderful compliment to be given. And I don't want it to be about me. I never want it to be about me. I want the person who's helping with that craft or helping, maybe they can't come to craft meeting, but they can do some cutting.
Mm-hmm.
If today is the only time I get to interact with you and encourage you, then that just makes my whole day. It really does.
Well, it makes our day for you to be there.
Oh, well, kind of wouldn't be.
So she asked about a new president of the. Well, of course, nobody is going to want to. I mean, you're it. I mean, you're just it. I mean, and we can tell that you do. And that's something when someone is training you on something. I've had employers before. I could tell they didn't want to be there. It would be like, please, you're trying to train me to stay here, and so you not, but you love it, which makes us love it.
Yeah, and I think that that's what it really should be about is when I teach, there's one thing that I notice about myself, and that's the second I start explaining what's going on and what we're going to do, I can feel the energy, and it's like I feel like I'm glowing. It's like, oh, this is my passion, and I think everyone has a passion.
Well, life's too short to be doing things you're not passionate about.
Exactly. And
the time just flies. I mean, to take the show, we've been on almost an hour.
I know.
And it just flies by. I mean, and then the Cove Crafters classes. We've got a few minutes. Let's talk about a little bit less than 4 minutes left in the segment. Let's talk about some testimonials, some the people that have received these gifts, what they've done.
That is so much fun. Because I am a volunteer with hospice, I don't just do Cove Crafters. I sit with patients, or I'll take them to the grocery store or doctor's office, whatever they need. But through this, especially this last year, now that the COVID restrictions are lifting,
it's been easier.
Much easier. I get to go into the patient's home and drop off that gift. And I have several patients who, they see me at the door, I'm knocking on, I always call first, but I do, knock on the door, Miss Loretta, what do you have? And I'll walk in and there's a whole shelf. I'm not kidding you. Like the mantle will be covered with every craft from the last 3 or 4 months. And, we do have patients that stay on our service for up to a year. So, and then sometimes they'll recertify and they'll be on a little bit longer. But our job, I hate to call it a job, our joy, our responsibility is to encourage them, encourage their families in whatever aspect of that end-of-life journey that they're on. And because we're all going to be there. How do you want to be treated? Ask yourself that when you think about hospice. And maybe, just maybe, you guys will come and join us, not just for Cove Crafters, but there's so many things. There's the gardening, there's things like, especially, some of these older ladies, they don't have the means to pay somebody to do their yard. They need somebody to come and mow. There's plenty of things to do that's going to bless that family. And I think it's just so important.
Yeah, I think it is too. And think about this, a lot of folks were afraid to do anything because of COVID. Those restrictions, have been taken away. But if you just want to just stay home, but you still want to help, you can do that with phone calls, notes.
Yeah, we always have stuff at Shepherd's Cove Hospice, like birthday cards. Or just like this last summer, I got my little 5-year volunteer pin, and they had a card that lots of people had signed. It was really wonderful. Those kind of things don't seem that important, but they are hugely important. But if that's what your gift is to make those phone calls or write a letter, then we definitely want you to come and be part of us.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's some designers who come to the thrift shop. And, you might find something in the way it's displayed out there and think, I would have never thought about doing it that way. And so these volunteers are, they're awesome. And, to be able to put stuff out, designing, so apparently they are. Oh, by the way, the Christmas shop, is open.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have too. And you can find all kinds of things to craft with, like those tins. The Christmas tins, you can make earrings out of those. You can make all kinds of jewelry pieces.
Or you can just use a sander, you know, and take all the paint and stuff off, and then just dress it and turn it into something else.
Huh. I never thought about that.
I do it all the time.
See, I love hanging with her. Oh, wow, less than a minute left in this segment. Thank you first of all for being on the show, Loretta. I love this girl, Loretta Roger.
I love her.
And so, yeah, I think we're the only two that can put up with each other. Our minds go like that all the time. But thank you for watching. And so this show will be airing. We'll do it several times. So, but anyway, if you have any questions, all you got to do is just send a text 256-659-4319. We appreciate you, and you are the apple of my eye. You know that. Thank you so much again for watching. Thanks, Loretta.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say,